Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
Okay, welcome to the Public Service Commission's administrative meeting for March 5, 2025. First item is approve the minutes from our meeting of February 19, 2025. Commissioner Sussman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barvik.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Morning, Mr. Chair. There are 8 items on today's consent agenda. Items 1 through 5 are operational deadline extensions for, respectively, the Greater Mount Nebo Solar LLC project, Poplar Hill Solar LLC, Caberton Solar Chesapeake LLC, and Caberton Solar Chesapeake 2 LLC, TPE Maryland MDGA 136 LLC, and Distributed Solar Operations LLC. Item 6 is a request from ConocoPhillips to cancel its gas supplier license. Item number 7 is a request from Edge Insights Inc. to cancel their electricity and gas broker licenses. And item number 8 is a request to cancel Marketing Systems Group LLC's electricity supplier license.
So, regarding item 1, I move we grant the limited waiver of COMAR 20.62.03.04C and extend the operational deadline for the project until February 26, 2026. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Number 2, grant the limited waiver of COMAR 20.62.03.04C and extend the operational deadline for the project until February 26, 2026. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Item 3, grant the limited waiver of COMAR 20.62.03.04C and extend the operational deadline for the project until December 31st, 2026. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Item 4, grant the limited waiver of COMAR 20.62.03.04C and extend the operational deadline for the project to January 19, 2027. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Item 5, move to grant the limited waiver of COMAR 20.62.03.04C and extend the operational deadline of the project to April 1, 2026. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Item 6.
7.
Okay, so 6 is fine. Okay, so regarding item 6, I move we approve the cancellation request. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Item 7.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if anybody from OPC is here. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I have the same concerns about the Edge Insight Inc. filing as OPC had with the Marketing Systems Group LLC filing, in that I'm concerned that approving the withdrawal of the license and the return of the bond leaves potential retail electric supply customers at risk to the extent an issue comes up. So I was wondering if OPC could respond to my concerns. Do you have similar concerns with respect to Edge Insights? And if you don't, if you could explain why you don't.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Milan Tekla-Mikhail on behalf of Maryland Office of People's Counsel. The reason we did not opine on that agenda item is we believe Edge Insights did not have any residential or did not provide services to any Maryland residential customers, and it only had commercial and industrial customers. Now, if the Commissioner wants to expand, previous orders as it pertains to relinquishment to commercial and to suppliers who provide services to commercial and industrial customers. We support that. We just did not think that we had the footing to request that since they did not have residential customers.
Okay. And staff, do you have a comment on whether we should keep the bond in place?
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Andrew Schlicht on the behalf of staff. OPC is correct. This broker only did serve CNI customers in a couple of the service territories. We continue to stand with our recommendation of simply canceling the license.
Okay. And are you at all concerned about sort of small commercial customers being at risk for problems over the next couple of years and having no recourse?
It is our understanding that the company preemptively withdrew from the market several months ago and has ceased serving customers in that time. Over the course of those months, no complaints have been received at CAD. At this point, we do not think any complaints will be showing up.
Okay. I'm okay with approving the withdrawal of the license, but I would ask Mr. Schlick if you could just keep an eye on this issue for purposes of commercial customers, particularly small commercial customers, and if there's a problem that comes up, please let us know, and perhaps we can address this at a later date in terms of other suppliers withdrawing from the market. So I'm okay with approving the withdrawal.
Seeing no other questions, I move we approve the cancellation request. Commissioner Suchman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barbe.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. So item 8, why don't you?
Good morning again. Milan Tekle-Mikhail on behalf of the Maryland Office of People's Counsel. I don't know if staff would like to start, or we can.
Well, since you want to change the request just from a strict cancellation, why don't you go first, then I'll have them respond. So.
Sounds good. OPC disagrees with staff's recommendation to approve Marketing System Group's request to relinquish its electric supplier license. OPC instead recommends that the Commission require the company to keep its license active and maintain all of its existing bonds for the next 3 years to cover liability to its former customers. OPC has reached out to the company to confirm whether or not they have provided services to residential customers within the past 3 years, and we have not received a response back. We have all received communication from staff that they don't believe the company provided services to residential customers, but they too have not received definitive communication from the company as to whether or not it had residential customers in Maryland within the past 3 years. In recent matters before the Commission regarding retail supplier requests for license relinquishment or transfer of contracts, the Commission has denied Great American Power LLC and the Tomorrow Energy Corporation's separate request to relinquish their license or to transfer their customers. In both matters, to support its decision, the Commission has cited the potential for future complaints by former customers and the need to have jurisdiction over the companies to hold them accountable for such complaints. The Commission reasoned that allowing companies to relinquish their license, while they may be responsible for future complaints by former customers, would not be in the public interest. OPC asks that the Commission applies the same reasoning in this matter, as it is in the public interest for the Commission to require Marketing System Group to demonstrate that it has met all of its obligations in Maryland before it is able or allowed to relinquish its license and leaves the state's regulatory reach. The Commission, similar to its previous orders, should require the company to maintain its license and bond for a period of 3 years. Moreover, applying the same obligations that were placed on previous companies promotes administrative uniformity and handling license relinquishment requests, which is also an interest of OPC, and think that there's value in doing so. So for that reason, we disagree with staff's recommendation and recommend otherwise. Thank you.
Oh, you have a question for her? Or? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
So is 3 years the standard? Has that been the standard that's been applied in the past by the Commission?
Yes, we believe in Tomorrow Energy specifically. It was Tomorrow Energy was required to maintain its bond for a supplier bond for 3 years, and prior to that, I believe it also in the illegal energy matter, the supplier was. Well, I'll retract that. I have to confirm which supplier it was. But yes, the Commission has a history of requiring retail suppliers to maintain their bonds.
For 3 years.
For 3 years. And the 3 years metric is really because of the statute of limitation of when customers could bring forth complaints.
It's only 3 years?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, staff.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Charles Herbert on behalf of staff. I'll start with some brief remarks and then address some of your questions and respond to the Office of People's Counsel. On February 6, 2025, Marketing Systems Group LLC, also known as MSG, filed a letter requesting that its Maryland electricity broker license be canceled. In its letter requesting cancellation of its license, MSG confirmed that it does not offer brokering or other services to customers in the state of Maryland. Further, the company confirmed in its cancellation request letter that, quote, the only remaining obligation MSG was aware of related to its regulatory assessments. Staff reviewed MSG's filing and determined that no complaints have ever been filed against the company in the entire nearly 5-year time span that the company has been licensed. In addition, the company no longer owes any outstanding assessments to the commission. Finally, as MSG is a broker, RPS obligations are inapplicable, and so none were owed. Accordingly, staff recommends that the commission approve the license cancellation request. Now, regarding OPC's comments, staff did have a chance to review those. What staff will say in our recommendation is that this company, because they're a broker, has a different set of operations than a full supplier would. Brokers may do any number of things from marketing to negotiating deals on behalf of customers with suppliers. So kind of negotiating the terms of supplier contract. And with that being said, we did not have the sense that it would be likely at all. In fact, we believe the probability is infinitesimal that a complaint would be filed in the future against a broker. Because billing, remaining obligations, the supply service, those are handled by the actual supplier. They're not handled by the broker. We would point out that as far as liability is concerned, if a customer wanted to get some sort of recourse for a violation that occurs, the supplier they're with would still be licensed, whether that's a third-party supplier or if they're on SOS, could complain to the utility. And so, with those things being said, and staff also notes that almost no complaints have been filed against any brokers. Nearly all of the complaints that we see that have been filed with CAD are against full suppliers. They're not against brokers. And so staff would, just ask that it be kept in mind that brokers are quite different in their operations and their business from suppliers, and not necessarily treat these as if they're a full supplier who handles a contract and supplies a commodity. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Schlesman.
Okay, so Mr. Herbert, there has to be a reason why a broker has to have a license and have a bond. So there are, even though CAD has never seen a complaint filed against a broker, the fact that the bond is there to protect the ratepayer, correct? So somebody at some point must have thought that it was important for a broker to not just be licensed, but also to have a bond in place.
I will turn this question over to Mr. Mosier since it goes deep in the history of deregulation.
That's fine.
Kevin Mosier on behalf of staff. The statute does require the commission to regulate brokers, but just for some further background, about half of the states that have retail choice don't actually regulate brokers, and I believe the main reason that the broker bond we have in place is to actually collect assessments if they don't pay, and that's the reason the broker bond is just $10,000 versus the $250,000 bond for a supplier. But with the exception of maybe a couple of instances where we've tried to draw on a broker bond for assessments, I don't believe the commission has ever drawn on a broker bond for any sort of customer complaints.
Right, but we're kind of in a new area now where lots of different retail electric suppliers and brokers are relinquishing their licenses and would like a return of their bonds. And so we don't really know what the landscape is going to be over the next couple of years. I mean, I'm just not seeing what's the harm in keeping the bond in place for 3 years to the extent that there is the possibility. I understand that it's infinitesimal, but sometimes things. I mean, being a lawyer, people always sort of like, what was the chances of something happening? But that's that's when they go to a lawyer. So I'm not understanding why this is going to be a hardship on this particular customer, this particular broker to have in place a bond for 3 years. The other thing is, I would like to have. I mean, we've had these issues come up several times, and so I would like, sort of going forward, the presumption when we're dealing with residential customers and a retail electric supplier or broker that's getting out of the business, I would like to have the presumption be that they have to keep the bond in place for 3 years and hold their license until we know that there's not going to be a problem, and then that the ratepayer has recourse to the extent there's an issue that does come up.
I think staff certainly doesn't object to that with regard to suppliers. With brokers, my concern is, one individual broker, this is not a particularly big deal. I mean, this broker will have to pay us, assessments over the course of the next 3 years because they'll still be licensed. Fiscal will have to do however much work they have to do to build this one broker. I assume that is not that big of hassle for them. But, keep in mind, we probably have 400 licensed brokers, and, I don't think it's a big deal to do this for one of them. I'm concerned about the precedent, and all of a sudden, at some point a year down the road, due to the results of SB1, if we have 100 brokers relinquish their license, then we've got 100 outstanding bonds for companies that are no longer operating in Maryland.
Okay.
So, anybody else?
Can I?
So, has this company had any customers in Maryland that you're aware of?
Yes, the company did say that they had, around 100-ish, and the vast majority of those, they referred to them as contracts, in which case it would mean broker contracts, not any full retail supply contracts. But the vast majority of those were commercial only, and then only, less than 10% of those were other things. We did not get a further response from the company as to whether the small portion was industrial or residential. It could have conceivably been either of those, since they only put a proportion on commercial. But
Right. So, why don't we do this?
Commissioner, if I may.
Sure.
I just wanted to add a couple of points. Can I continue?
Here.
Okay. OPC would just like to highlight that although, yes, the Marketing Systems Group is, one instance, we're very much so concerned about the precedents and administrative uniformity that the Commission has previously highlighted is of an interest. And in this matter, we are aware of other brokers in Maryland that heavily deal with residential customers. Now, Marketing System Group might not be it, but whatever the Commission decides in this matter will affect those brokers that do heavily interact with residential suppliers. And I think it is even beneficial for brokers to know what presumptions exist with it, by the Commission as far as when they try to relinquish their license and what they could expect. And I think having clear expectation benefits not only retail suppliers, brokers, but also, administratively, it positively impacts everyone at play. And I more so wanted to add on to what Commissioner Sushman said about presumption. Again, it highlights, uniformity and also suppliers and brokers knowing what steps or what is expected of them when they request to relinquish their license. And we add that maybe staff, when it gets these requests, should all the time require suppliers and brokers to indicate whether they had provided services to residential customers, so that it takes the legwork out of it. Because right now, that is information that has to be sought out instead of readily available.
Okay, fine. So let's do this. You say you've tried to communicate with this company. You haven't gotten an answer from them?
The statistics I gave you a few minutes ago, we received yesterday. We reached back out with follow-up questions after that, and we have not gotten a follow-up reply.
All right, so let's do this. Let's ask the company, one, have they ever had any residential customers? And sort of alert them to the fact that, we're considering extending denying the cancellation request, depending upon the answer that we get regarding that question. So,
Yes, and Chair, that was our follow-up email. We will once again communicate to the company that it's incumbent they get the answers back to us.
Okay, all right. So we're going to...
If you're going to be reaching out, we may also want to just find out, if with SB1, are there going to be any brokers that will even be dealing with residential customers? It seems like we may be in a new situation where we may want to have some kind of a mechanism to allow them to just withdraw from the market in an orderly fashion. So I just throw that out as a thought.
No, I think you're probably right. My understanding is we don't have suppliers making offers, so if suppliers aren't offering residential customers, then clearly brokers would have nothing to do, even if they wanted to serve residentials. Yeah, there's...
Okay, so we're going to defer item 8 until we get an answer to these questions. So.
Michael Dean on behalf of staff. If the commission is changing its policy and requiring 3 years of maintenance of license and bonds, a change in policy affecting all companies in that situation should be done by regulation. I just would point that out under the Delmarva case precedent.
Okay, well, we're not deciding that today, so.
Excuse me. Item number 9 on the administrative agenda consists of tariff revisions from Columbia Gas of Maryland, Inc.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Cameron Walton on behalf of staff. On January 31st, 2025, Columbia Gas of Maryland, Inc., Columbia or the company, filed its elective balancing services rider EBS, rate to become effective with its April 2025 billing cycle. Columbia's rider EBS applies to customers served under Columbia's Transportation Service Program. Customers were given 3 options to choose from. All 359 customers of rider EBS are using option 1, which provides the ability for customers to maintain a bank of gas from month to month on Columbia's system. By the terms of the company's tariff, EBS option 1 rates are not to exceed the maximum rate of .00956 cents per therm. To find the calculated rate, EBS costs are divided by the number of therms. Because the calculated rate of .00989 cents exceeds the maximum rate is billed to customers. Staff recommends that the rider EBS rate be accepted for filing effective with Columbia's April 2025 billing cycle. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Good morning. Rebecca Danhires, Manager of Rates Regulatory for Columbia, and I'm available for any questions.
Seeing none. I move we accept the EBS rider for filing with effective with the April 2025 billing cycle. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. And with that, we're adjourned. So the folks that are here for the Pepco matter, we will start in 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
6 minutes is good.
Yeah. So we'll start in approximately 10 minutes, so.